It has been 3 weeks since my last video. Yeah, honestly, case card months, usually for me personally, I kind of tune out of the game. That is going to change drastically, of course, going into March. We've got a brand new ban list, we've got some huge updates coming. We'll go through all of it in today's video because it's not as straightforward as it may seem. So, let's go first of all to the updates. Why not, right? So, first of all, some Duel Scramble giving us a new Virtual World card and a no SR Rush Duel being Meteor Dragon's Nails. So, Juju is technically a generic card. So, even though it's a Virtual World card, and even though if we go and do the searching, we haven't got any other Virtual cards in Duel Links, this doesn't immediately mean, oh my god, we're getting Virtual World coming in a brand new box. It could do, like in late March, that'd be pretty cool, but this card being generic, unfortunately, doesn't really mean that. Now, it is okay, right? It's removed by banishing cards in the graveyard, it has some protection effect, which is fine, but overall, it's just okay. Then we've got Meteor Dragon's Nails. Now, this is obviously going to see play in the Black Skull Dragon deck. The 300 tap and gain is not great, but of course, you put on Black Skull Dragon, it gains 1000 instead, and then it gains protection, which is pretty good when we've got Monarchs being a thing, you know, so that's pretty cool. Now, does this mean we're also expecting to see sometime in March more Red Eye support, but going down the line of Meteor Black Dragon and Meteor Dragon? Now, it could do, because this card was released in the OCG alongside these ones, I believe. And they did then retrain the deck, right, to get more support, right, in the form of the Meteor Drake, going into the Rocket Warrior, into Big Fusions. So it could mean we're seeing a Meteor Black Dragon come as like a card trader thing or something. I think it'd be pretty cool. The only downside is I believe the current skill doesn't allow you to play this card. I believe. It does kind of clash, so it could mean we're just getting this by itself. Which would be fine, right? It would be a good inclusion for Black Skull Dragon. We've then got Dual Capsule, okay, sure, and a brand new character is coming, giving the new UR card Storm Sonic and the SR card Sub Hammer Cop. Now, this is going to be Yuro from Sevens. Now, as a character, right, I think people weren't really looking forward to getting Yuro because he doesn't really have much to bring in terms of cards. Like, you look at Yuka, who is a really good GOHA sibling, Yuro doesn't really have anything of note. Of course, we know we're getting Storm Sonic, which is pretty cool, right? So if you've got 2 more wins in the field, you debuff opponent's monster, then if you've got the Subject Alligator in the field, you can then pop a card. But I think this is really cool. The fact it only works with 1 legend to get extra pop, though, does mean we're going to need a skill of some kind to actually make this live more often, right? That'd be cool if we've got a way to constantly get access to your Subject Alligator, that'd be cool. And also the Cyber Hammer Cop, which at the moment was translated as the Mecha Ambulator, adds Following World. Now, Following World is a field spell that gives your wind machines, I believe, 500. So it's not awful, right? That's not too bad. So, like, skill-wise, you might look for something that can do something with the field spell and constantly give access to Subject Alligator. That'd be cool. Now, in terms of other things you could bring, Ace, monster-wise, probably is going to be Air Formula Eagle. This, it's not great, right? It summons out a wind normal from hand, and then a 6 low wind normal from your graveyard. So you're getting 3 bodies out for the summon of 1 card, which is good, but they may not be doing that much by themselves. We've then got the Subject Alligator, of course, available via bundle, Cyber Falcon, which, okay, is a body, right? You've got the Against Buster, which is back removal. Follow World, of course, is the one we talked about a minute ago, and then we've got the Atrium's Wind. And this is giving you some more draw power. Send a card from out to graveyard, draw 1 card. If you've got 2 more wind bodies in your field, 800 attack points, you draw 1 more card. I don't think this is that great. And then, of course, is the fusion of 2 Cyber Falcons, which you gain life and deal burn damage. Just like, there's not a lot here to work with. And I think you looked at Emi coming out for Go Rush, right? And people thought, you know, didn't do much in OCG, and the card-wise not great. Yuro is on a different kind of level in terms of relevancy, in terms of the cards he's got. And so, we'll have to see what they do. But overall, it's not the most exciting character in the world. But it does make sense, right, to go back to 7's world, given the Go Rush has got a big content update in the level cap increase. There is a need for some 7's content, given that our last one was Tiger back in August. We've then got Togemission Mingo, bringing back Hostile Fighter Assault mode, which I believe is also in a current campaign for login. So, feels a bit weird. And then, of course, is the big Go Rush Festival, the big PvP event, which is perfectly fine. They are technically doing the EMI again, and they're putting Yuro alongside the GRF. That should start on the 9th, I believe, so you got 4 days prior to start the event, and then he will end, you know, before Stage 2 starts, like EMI did. Does make sense. Then, late March, is the return of Nash, again for Raid Duel. This is really, really good. Konami lately, with No I believe as a start, has been trimming down the time it takes for an Unlock event to get a rerun. It's now like 1.5 months at most between the events, and that's really good in some ways, because of course it means that people that were new to the game get the characters. The downside is, they're really slacking, still, on the gate unlocks. And that's the big thing, is the gate unlocks, because at the moment, we're missing, what? Marek, Yuka, Tiger, Emi, Noah, and Marin technically after this event. All of them are scheduled to be available at the gate at some point in time. Now, it's not a big issue for Speed Duel, because box-wise, they're selling, you know, archive skills, it's main legacy support. But in Rush Duel, when, you know, look at Emi, look at Tiger, both of those decks are top tier decks last 3 months. And if you miss the events, you haven't been able to play them. And if we look at the schedule, then Yuka should probably come to the gate as a surprise alongside Yuro. And so you're going to go into the JRF with 2 of the current best decks, not having their skills and kind of locking you out, or new players being locked out of getting the full value from the last couple of Rush boxes, which feels really, really bad, and they need to work on it. Like, that's one big thing coming to do, is to kind of just really trim down that gate unlock time. It doesn't make any sense to gatekeep them. It really doesn't. Then, mission research, sure, why not? And finally, obtain a certain character, going to be, I believe, on March 30th, so right at the end of the month. This sounds, right here, like Darts, and I would love it to be Darts. However, Darts is a character, doesn't really have that many cards right now. I'd hope when they bring Darts, they would actually, you know, have given more support SG, you know, and given us new cards for him to make him worthwhile. Because the quote is actually a joint quote between RAFAEL here and Alistair. Alistair says the first white line, and then RAFAEL says the middle bit. Valen on the left, he says something different, so it is like a generic, oh look, Orichalcos gang kind of quote. I do think it makes the most sense to bring RAFAEL first, given he's the most iconic character, and he has at least a deck they can make an event out of. The other 2 don't, and I would love it if when they give us, or if they do give us, Alistair and Valen, go back to giving us anime cards. You could, you know, for Cross Duel, they dug deep into the anime well, and gave us anime cards, actual anime cards, not cards of Attack Force, anime cards properly. You can do the same in Duel Links. Like, it's your game, just do it, right? And have some fun with it. You know, even if it's just for an event. Doesn't need to be attainable, just for the event, for the gimmick, give us the armor stuff at some point. Give us the drone attack, you know, helicopter stuff that Alistair had. It just makes way too much sense for this to be RAFAEL, and then you slowly build up to Darts in, say, August, right, like Agami was. You go RAFAEL into, say, a Valen event or something, and then you give some alt stars for, like, Mai or Rex and Weevil of their Orichalcos forms, right? That could be a cool thing they do. We don't know what they're doing, and that's kind of the exciting thing, is that this could be really cool, but also it could be really, really bad, and just be kind of dumb, given that there's not much new support. But there is a new card RAFAEL got in the OCG, literally in 2 days' time. So he has got stuff he can bring, in theory, which will be cool to see. And so overall, March is looking really, really solid going into April, right? Because obviously this character is going to be mainly April focused, and then if a box comes alongside it, it will too be in early April, kind of alongside it. So overall, looking pretty good for March in terms of content. The Rush character is obviously not a huge fan favourite, and it probably will be bringing riding Rush duels as a PvE gimmick, you know, because that's what it was in the show. So that will hopefully be cool. The gate unlocks, which of course last month did announce Vector, so you would hope at minimum Yuka is coming, but it'd be cool if we saw more go to the gate immediately. That'll be big. Then we've got the brand new ban list. Now, I'm going to go for the skills first of all, because I think there's not too much to talk about here, except for 2 big ones. So first of all, is Branded getting a really, really big nerf, right? Like, that is kind of drastic, and of course, it feels too quick because they just got Branded Fusion right. But remember, Branded as a deck, or Despy as a deck, is quite old now. So this kind of natural nerf to a skill does make sense. But it's also, I believe, the second nerf to a skill. So we'll see. But this feels really bad for branded players. Right, really, really bad. We've then got Char's Judgment, which was the Shinobird skill. Right, now, I've seen many people say, oh, but Shinobird was a big free-to-play friendly deck for new players, it was free-to-play friendly. Like, yes, you're correct. However, if you were only available for the 20 days the character was available in a total in the last 6 months, then it was. Otherwise, it was not a free-to-play friendly deck, a new player friendly deck. They lost a change of heart for some reason, and they've changed it to reveal 1, to add 1, rather than to go for 2. So, they've made it a bit more fairer. It was a deck that was kind of falling off a bit recently, so it does feel kind of bad. And again, it hammers down this point of they're taking so long to rerun characters at the gate that by the time you get them back, they're going to be nerfed to high heaven. And it feels really bad. We've then, of course, got the card ban list. And this is a really big one in quantity, but actually, overall, it's a bit of a mixed bag, right? So, of course, two new bans being Oral Paragon and Galaxy Wave. Both of these were, decks that were not fun to play against, right? You've got Burn, and you've got a Floodgate. Okay, good. You've then got Limit 1, DMFTK, okay, sure. Trap Tricks, which I think they got let off quite nicely in this one, because they stopped some search for Nibiru, and that's about it. They still play Dweller, they've still got everything else at the same copies. So, really, nothing changed for them, in a way. Ibli, I believe, was being played in Stardust, and again, it's a Floodgate, just kind of cringe. This one was surprising. If your deck has no Limit 1s, this is now by far going to be one of the best cards to play. Just baiting out on a gate is really, really good. So, overall, welcome back. By now, it should be fine to kind of have. Scaring him off again is a Floodgate played in B Trooper. So you've now got to choose, do you Floodgate your opponent, or do you go for the banishing Floodgate, I guess. Pick your poison, Limit 2, Tachyon Transmigration, Schism, and we've got the Spiral Galaxy, so now you're playing 1-on-1. This one was being played 2 to 3 copies of, so this now brings down that power level a bit, brings down the protection effect, and so that's perfectly fine. Schism is a buff, I believe, so now you have more targets for your trap cards, now things aren't as awkward, but it's a deck that obviously wasn't doing too much right now, but it's one I'm not personally fond of facing, so not the biggest fan of this one coming back, but still, it's a good thing for those decks, right? Good thing for those decks. And Limit 3 is going to be Masquerade. So in addition to the skill being nerfed high heaven, you've now got this. This clashes with Brand Fusion, so now you probably play 2 Brand Fusion, 1 of this. And I think if this was the only change, it wouldn't really matter, right? It wouldn't really matter. But given the skill on top, that is going to change the equation quite drastically, and we'll see how Brand kind of does evolve going to the Brand changes. Then Unlimited is a lot of things, right? Ptolemaeus being a bundle card, Widow Anchor, another bundle card. This one's weird because I believe there's no Limit 2s on the list that they would want anyway, so maybe it's hinting at us getting a anniversary box where they slap this in, like they kind of did with Tour Guide, right? When they put that in there one, and it was alt art, even though the alt art doesn't exist for this one, they could still do it. It's their game, they could do what they want. Stratos is fine, Barrage is fine, E-Telly is fine, 1-for-1's fine, Light Stage again is fine, Void Ogre is fine. All these are kind of fine, right? This is the funniest page on the ban list. Majesty, of course, came out in September and was nerfed quickly. It's now right back to where it was. Overflow came out in 2019, was hit I believe in 2021, 2022, and has stayed there for like 4 years. And finally, it's now acceptable, apparently. It does not make sense, but glad that saga is finally over. Overflow is now back, and hopefully we could see more Cyberdrag support down the line. That'd be cool. I'd like to see him come back and be good in that format. Of course, in Rush Duel, they were alright, and then they kind of fallen off the wayside. So hopefully in one format they can be pretty good. And that's all for Speed Duel. Now, on to Rush Duel, my bread and butter. We've got Reynapolis Limit 1. This, again, feels bad for those players waiting on EMU to return. Right, going to the JRF, right, I feel like a lot of the hits on here are, yes, they make sense, but also we're we're going to bring the power level down a little bit. Knowing we're getting Yuro, who doesn't really bring much new to the table, it feels like they're kind of bringing down the power level, so the new players haven't really got much to complain about when they go in with Monarchs, they go in with, the new Maximum Chicken deck or whatever, Dimension Linker. So this Limit 1 clashes with your Pot of Greed, it clashes with your Compulsory, your Good Legend cards, and so you are now going back to, say, Avarice, you're going back to Negate Attack. Is that Limit 1, Limit 2? You might go back to that one, or Trap Hole, for example. So we'll see how things work there. You are losing potentially one copy. Some playing 1, some playing 2. So that is a pretty chunky hit for the Aqua deck. Then Limit 3, we've got Elemental Circulation. This is a long time coming. This was really, really good as a draw engine in Music Princess. And now it clashes with your Battle Ballet, so you can't play it. It does technically, looking at this right now, in Hero, clash with Star Restart. But, spoilers, it's being freed, so Hero technically lost nothing. Which I think makes sense because it is kind of fair in that deck, right? Kind of. If they do hit at some point, they will do. But, Music Princess was kind of the issue, where that deck's power level, the power ceiling in that deck is so high, and this just deep drawing gets you into your cards even quicker, felt really bad to play against in certain situations. So this is good. We've then got Cornful Charity. Now, this currently clashes with the Overrush Storm, a Limit 3, your back removal. So you're going to take that out and go and play your Hydration, which is your Aqua themed back removal that's not as good, but does still hit a card, deal burn damage. Or it means that we might get more Limit 3s coming in the coming Rush box, which, given Yuro as the character, could be literally anything. It could be anything under the sun we're getting. We have no real clue. So, again, a bit of a wait and see, but this, I think, is fine, but doesn't really do as much as Red Blister 1 does. Then, Unlimited. Rise Terrace is cool for some metagames. It was good against Psychics, I believe. But nowadays, given skills like your Dimension Linker one, just cheats the card up for free. It's not as good, but maybe in a future metagame it'll be good. We'll have to wait and see. A Can Melody does mean you've now got your Icebot Bear and your Jampy check, I believe it is, or start one of those two, now at free. So you can play 2 and 1, and then play this as well. Which, it's good back removal, and it's recursion. So, neato. Is it going to be enough to bring it back? Probably not. Dragius is funny because for the longest time, this was like here because they didn't want aggro decks to be too good at 60 life points, and now we're kind of at a point where they don't really care. This was a meme, it was here for so long, it's now off the ban list, and it's still dog shit. it's still dog shit. Starry Start is a big one, again, so Material now at full power because they're getting back Type Ginger Beam. And this, I think, is going to be the most controversial change on the ban list for Rush Duel because it's such a bullshit card when you win with it and when your opponent wins because of it. It is cool Material now going to be back to full power. Right, just straight up, right, that is really cool. The deck has kind of struggled lately, and so now having all the tools available, hopefully, will do something. Maybe we get more support. Maybe we do. There's a few cards that they can bring. So we'll see how things work out there, but I'm not a big fan of this change. This one is whatever. And again, this does kind of also buff Psychics as well. So, getting more Psychic support down the line could be a sign of that as well. Good Rush changes. Better than I kind of expected for a BANLIST going into a GRF. I thought I'd wait it out, and we'd be stuck playing the exact same metagame going to that tournament, but now we're not, so that's great. Speed-wise, again, can't really comment too much, but it seems like that people are a bit of a mixed bag overall in terms of some of these hits. Of course, there are some good ones. Getting Floodgate certificates out of the format is a good thing, and again, the skill changes, right? You've got Neos also getting a buff. Right, they are buffing the Neos Rushel skill, forgot to mention that one, to give you a search from your deck, not just your graveyard, which is good, but it probably isn't going to make that skill any less awkward to play. So we'll see. But overall, 2 very big content updates for Duel Links. Of course, 2 brand new characters being Yuro, and a DM character either being Darts, but most likely going to be RAFAEL, and then of course, the big JR Festival. Probably, a box for Rush Duel, box for Speed Duel. There could also be a selection box for Rush Duel. Thinking about it, right, timing-wise, we are kind of getting towards that area where they want to save for the WCQ in May. is another story, but the thing with Rush Collector boxes is that usually on release they're not really worth it, and then over time the cards are printed really quickly. So we'll see how things go.